There we go.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the official after show. We are going to be joined by Sonic Butterfly, otherwise known as Andrea Brook, and we're having a kind of mini CD release journey. She's going to be taking us into her new record called Psyche, and playing a bit live and then some incredible videos that she has recently shot, and we got to see them earlier. They are stunning, and also taking us on the psyche journey and what inspired and has led her through the whole process. So, welcome, Andrea. It's such an honor to have you here. Maybe you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Kristin. And this was amazing when you guys suggested that we do this. I'm super honored to have this opportunity to share my show and my album, because first and foremost, I'm a performing artist, and when I write to create a 90-minute performing arts center show. And so this album is meant to be listened to from beginning to end because it is a journey, and it is the spirit's journey through the human experience. And it begins with a song called Pojisai. And Pojisai is a temple, a Kuan Yin temple. And we first learned about it. My husband asked his daughter where she was before she was here. And she said, Pojisai. And so we looked it up. Oh, she said specifically, I was at a fairy party at Pojisai. And so we looked it up, and indeed there was this temple to Kuan Yin. And so that made me think, like, well, what is that? What does that sound like? What does it sound like before we embody? And I really see that we go on this journey from spirit to spirit. And in between, we have the human experience. And so this show is that process of starting as spirit and returning to spirit. And I wrote this show during COVID. And so it was very much a journey into my own psyche and what was taking place for me. In the song that I played during the main show of Saturday Night Alive, Song in the Wind, that represented the return to spirit. My mother passed away in March of 2020, and my relationship with trying to connect with her in that spirit world. But before we get to that place of returning to spirit, we first embody. And I wanted to share a song with you guys. It's called Launch, and it's a duet between Academy and Grammy award-winning Bansuri flute player Steve Gorn and myself. And it's the song after Pojisai. And so first we are perhaps at a fairy party with Kuan Yin, or wherever it was that our spirit existed, and then we are called to earth through the act, hopefully, of love. And this song, Launch, is about that experience, is about that act of love, that dialogue, that duet between the harp and the bansuri flute.
Beautiful.
So what I'm going to do is switch over back to the Scarlet and play that song for you guys. And so bear with us as I go back and forth between audio programs. I'm sorry about this.
No.
We didn't check my mic.
While she's doing that, I'm just bringing up how this is, again, we are learning all about her new show and her new album, Sonic Butterfly Psyche. And it is available on iTunes. It's streaming on all platforms. And so you can learn more by going to sonicbutterfly.com, sonicbutterfly.com. And we're going to get a taste of it tonight. And then let's all go get the full experience. And thank you so much, Andrea, for blessing us with your presence and with this incredible opportunity to see your work. That is just so incredible. The juxtaposition of that beautiful flute and then what you create with your sonic harp, it's it's a sound we've never heard before. And at least I've never heard before. And it's such a beautiful, it's like again moving into the future. Kristin, anything?
Just divine. I mean, that transported me. And I was also reading some of the chat, and people were asking about the instrument and feeling the incredible energy encoding, and noticing that your gloves kind of play the role of a bow. And wow, I love the duet with the flute too. It was really special to hear your instrument in its pure form, so that
Mhm.
we could really take it in. Um, I loved what you did before with the backing track. It's great to hear it both in a full kind of fully produced way, and then this gorgeous simplicity is so important as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and on in the show and on the album, I do about half of the show is um, solo songs, and then the other half is with either duets or with some fully produced tracks. And it was a really fun experience. You know, I mean, I think that in many ways, the the experience of COVID and writing a show during COVID is such an interesting thing because I think it's very much like Saturday Night Alive, where, you know, we're all at home, we're all having our own unique experience, and yet we want to connect with somebody. And so to write a song with somebody, and Steve lives in New York and I live in California. And, you know, and so that process of reaching out to people, of having this concept for this show, and then reaching out to people and saying, okay, you know, I have this idea for this song, and I feel like I feel like you're meant to be on this song, and then to write that and send it to them, and then for them to respond. Excuse me. And it's fascinating because, um, excuse me, rosin dust. 1 second.
Take your time.
Take time, yeah. You know, while she's getting some water, probably. Just want to encourage everybody again to go to sonicbutterfly.com. We are going to see a video and hear an audio. We'll hear a little bit more from the Psyche album. And as an artist, Kristin, this must be so inspiring for you because you're a brilliant artist. You've worked with some amazing musical talents, but have you ever experienced anything quite like this?
No, I mean, this is a whole world of its own. And I mean, I was feeling like I was floating, and I was imagining, as Andrea was playing, what it must be like to lie underneath the strings. I know you talk about that in your bio, but just what it must be like to feel the actual encoding of this instrument that you've created. It's incredible.
Well, I
And
want to touch on that
yeah, it would be
because
great to hear more.
so I'm wearing these cotton gloves, and you saw the violin rosin that's now stuck in my throat. But basically, what's happening is that it's very much like a Tibetan singing bowl. So the strings are made of brass, and I'm not plucking or bowing the string, actually. I'm running my fingers along the string. And what that does is it creates a longitudinal vibration. And so you take a dowel and you run it around a Tibetan singing bowl, which is also made of brass. And that creates a longitudinal vibration. And so what's amazing is that the longitudinal vibration moves deeply through the molecules of the body. And then there's a harmonic, an ascending overtone. And that overtone, ascension, lifts your vibration from a lower state into a higher state, and really is meant for music medicine, of taking us from one state of being to another state of being, from dis-ease into inspiration, which is my goal.
Oh. And did you grow up playing a stringed instrument, or is this something that came to you along the way in a surprising way?
Um, so I did not grow up playing a stringed instrument or playing harp. I grew up playing piano. And when I designed Sonic Butterfly, I designed it as very much like a piano. Down here are my sharps and flats, and up above are my white keys. So it's
Oh.
a two octave chromatic harp is what it is. And so when I designed it to have that piano set up because I learned piano as a child. As a teenager, I played a little bit of bass guitar, but it wasn't my instrument. And really, piano wasn't my instrument either. I was a dancer. And, uh, and what I loved was movement. And so when I first encountered a long string harp, I worked with another performing arts company for 12 years that had a long string harp in it. And so when I experienced that, I found that that was my instrument because I don't play Sonic Butterfly, I dance Sonic Butterfly. And when I write and how I play is all kinesthetic, and it's all an expression of my body. And as I write, I'm telling stories, and those stories are being conveyed not only through the music, but also through the movement of how that song is played and the experience of what that is. Like there's a whole process. So as I decided to write Psyche, what happened was that I had a dream, and a literal dream. I was, asleep, and I had this dream that I went into this high school. And in that high school, each room had a different Shakespearean play acted out. And so I went from room to room and watched little tidbits of all these Shakespearean plays. And then I woke up and I thought, Shakespeare really understood the human psyche, and each of his plays are about different aspects of the human psyche. And I paused on that and I thought, psyche. And I knew that in Greek, psyche translates as soul and butterfly. And I thought, oh, I want to write a show about psyche. And so I began to explore a multitude of different things. I dove into mythology and the mythology of Psyche. And what's fascinating is that Psyche was human. She was human. She was beautiful and she was human. And ultimately, she becomes divine. And so I thought a lot about that. And I said, well, that's not really any different than our experience. We too are human and become divine. And then I thought about Jungian and Freudian psychology. And in particular, I was fascinated by the unfolding in Jungian psychology of the id, the ego, and the superego. And so I explore that. So I explore the mythology, I explore the Jungian psychology, and then I have been a yoga teacher for, I think, 23 years now, and have spent more than that. I've spent over a quarter of a century studying spiritual psychology, chakras, and the energetic process. And my work as a yoga teacher is to use the tool of yoga to facilitate intention. And so we set intentions consciously, energetically, and those direct us, those direct our energy and thus our physical reality in the direction of that intention. And I deeply studied what each of the postures does and how to direct our energy in a conscious way and utilize that intention and the physical movement and the breathing techniques and the meditations and the patterning of things in order to facilitate the cultivation of that intention. And so Psyche also then draws into that spiritual psychology and the chakra system and all of that work that I've done over a quarter of a century. And so the journey of Psyche is this process of going from spirit to spirit, but then through the id, the ego, the superego, and then through the process of the mythology and returning to spirit. And but what's fascinating is in it, not only am I using the songs, like, so I was going to bring up, there's this one song called Shield, and in it I'm like playing, and like sweat will just start dripping off me, and like my muscles will start to like, you know, seize, because I'm in this shield maiden state of like fighting and battle. That literally has to be played in that way, where I go into that. And so it's this fascinating process of how the harp is played in combination with the music that's being played, that the story is being played, and the movement that's taking place in order to do so. And then in between songs, there are Rumi poems to help you kind of find that journey. And I speak those Rumi poems. And so you get to go on this whole journey through that process. And then incorporating, as I was expressing before the rosin took over, this dialogue then with other musicians, and done over Zoom and phone calls and sending things to one another. And I don't know if you noticed, but in Launch, the piece that I just did, there are crickets. And there are crickets because Steve literally recorded it out on his like deck, I guess. And I thought to myself, well, that's really interesting that there are crickets. Do I have him go into a studio and record it so that there will be no crickets? But I was reminded of this amazing technique called Laya meditation, in which you mentally vibrate Om out into the universe, and then you wait and you listen. And I remember when I was learning about it, and they would say that it's not necessarily going to come back as Om. It might come back as crickets. And I thought, oh, it's so perfect, you know, because here is this spirit, and then there are crickets calling that spirit into this act of love to then be conceived and born as human. And so I was like, no, we leave the crickets. And
I love that there's crickets
that come forward. Yeah, and you just like, and you're like, well, you know, it's COVID. Can you even go into the studio right now? Okay, record it on your deck. Let's have the crickets, you know, and these amazing little things that would then arise out of it. And so there's Steve Gorn, there's who, as I said, is an Academy and Grammy Award winner. There's also Grammy Award winning keyboard and modular synthesizer. His name is Michael Jorgensen, and he's in the band Wilco. And
I love that band. Yes.
Oh my God, the fascinating process between the modular synthesizer and the strings, like that is a whole other thing. And I literally take a plastic bowl and I play the strings with this plastic bowl, and it's gritty and intense. And while that's all happening, David Lynch's vocal muse, Kristin, is turning into Venus and like ranting at Psyche, and you know, but then launching into this transformational experience of recognizing that it's through self-love that we really become divine. And so I've got Michael and Kristin and Steve and Tobias Hurwitz, and then the video that we have to show that's live from the Perkinson Center for the Arts, where you get to see it on the Performing Arts Center stage, is with violinist Chris Murphy, and it's a song called Dragon's Tongue.
Ooh. Shall we watch this video, Dragon's Tongue? Let's do it.
Watch.
Scott,
Here
do
we
you
go.
have it loaded up? Okay.
I do.
Amazing. That was so dynamic and visceral and full-bodied, transformational. Oh my goodness, Andrea. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a really fun one. And yeah, Chris Murphy on violin. He's just absolutely spectacular. And it's funny because right over my head, like literally over my head, is the dragon's tongue. On the ceiling of my studio, I have a giant dragon Chinese kite that stretches the entire length of my studio. Directly above my head is the tongue of the dragon.
Wow.
Wow. You know, I want you to know that more than half of the people who were in our Zoom room for the main show are still with us,
Wow.
including
Thank you all so much.
including 11-year-old, there she is, 11-year-old Sophia and her dad Matthew are still up watching us. So I think that's
Oh.
pretty cool. Pretty cool.
What do you think, Sophia? Is this blowing your mind? This incredible sonic butterfly? What do you think? Anything to maybe a little shy. I know it's that time of night.
She
But,
says it's incredible and beautiful, and she plays ukulele and learning
okay.
trombone. We play a little guitar. She loves music
Awesome.
and art.
Wow. Well, this has been mind-blowing, Andrea. Seriously, heart-opening first and foremost, spirit expanding, mind-blowing. And I also have to say, you were talking about your mother's passing before, and as you were playing the piece before with Steve Gorn, I kept feeling my mother's energy that I often experience as a butterfly. And just I was feeling this like connection between your piece and your mother and the other realms that are so near, and the souls who are so dear to us around. It almost feels like your instrument helps to open the space between the veils. That's the sense that I get. It really it's like a portal of transformation. I feel that you've tapped into a sonic encoding that's literally taking us there and allowing the veils to be thinner than ever and just experience the visions and the messages and the whispers from the other side. So
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And you know, I kind of come from a time when, you know, a new album would come out, and I would go and I would turn off all the lights and light candles and listen to the album from beginning to end. And so I encourage you to do the same thing with this one, where you just let yourself go for the 70 minutes that it goes for and see where you go. I mean, because also if you're just listening to the album, then it's just the music. And so you're free to explore and see where it takes you, because that's what it's meant to do. The whole show and album is this process of what is the human experience, what is the psyche, and there are so many aspects. And I really believe that each person will have their own unique experience of it. And I'd love to hear what people's experiences are. If you take a listen to it, it's available on iTunes and it's streaming on all platforms. And if you take a listen to it and you want to share with me, you can email me, Andrea@sonicbutterfly.com, or you can, you know, reach me on Instagram, Sonic Butterfly Official. You know, whatever way you want to get in touch with me, I'd love to hear comments and reviews. It's all just launching into the world. As I was saying, I was on before Saturday Night Alive, and it was at the beginning where I said, yeah, I'm writing this new show called Psyche. And so it's really exciting to come back and to have completed it and now to be putting it out into the world and to share it is really exciting. And if anybody's ever in Ojai or around this area, Ventura, Ojai, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, come to the Ojai Cocoon. I do events all the time in my studio, and I play a lot of these songs live. I did a premiere here in the studio of Psyche, which was really exciting. It was a fantastic event. And so I'd love to share my cocoon as well as my music. And at the end of every show, you get to get up and play the harp yourself.
Wow.
Yes, I open it up for everyone to play here in the cocoon. On performing arts center stages, they don't usually let me do it. But here in the cocoon, you can come up and play.
Well, I do come to Southern California twice a year, and definitely I'm going to have to stop in Ohio for sure. Visit you, and of course visit Mark Sims, one of our regulars, who's the neighbor.
Yes, exactly. Yes, he is. We've known each other for years.
I have a question I've been wanting to ask you, because I've been on your email list since the first time you were on the show. I'm very aware that you do a lot of yoga. You do yoga classes, you do online as well as regular classes. And so I just wanted to ask you about how you're clearly a yogini, how your yoga life has influenced and been influenced by your sonic butterfly life.
Many ways, I don't really see them as separate. You know, I think that that the two support one another. I suppose I always go back to our ultimate teacher. And our ultimate teacher to me is the breath, that there is an inhale and there is an exhale. You know, there is the feminine and there is the masculine. There are, you know, always these dichotomies, you know, a coin having, you know, heads and tails. And that what we begin to realize is that there is no separation, that they are parts of the whole and that they support one another. In fact, the inhale creates the opportunity for the exhale, and the exhale creates the space for the inhale. And a whole breath is the inhale and the exhale. And so I look at the work that I do with, you know, with Sonic Butterfly and with yoga as just being one whole aspect of who I am. And what's taking place is that full expression. And I think even my name is Andrea, and so it starts with an and. And so it's about this integration. And this has been, I think you're gonna like this, Scott. This has been one of my favorite words lately, is integrate. Let's slow that down. Into great. Oh. That's what it is to integrate. And what is, you know, two things coming together into wholeness. You know, the act of love is that integration and that opportunity not to diminish one another or to reduce one another, but how can each support the other to be even greater than it is before. And so I see these two parts of myself as creating one another, as the whole experience of what I offer as, you know, as Sonic Butterfly and as a yoga teacher, and really my purpose in the world, you know, goes back to what I was saying before I played Song on the Wind, and that I really was inspired by the monarch butterfly and recognizing I need to fulfill my purpose, and that this purpose of mine is the authentic expression of what I do, and that yoga and Sonic Butterfly are the tools in which I express my authentic expression.
Beautiful. You know, I love how you're working with the word integrate. And I, as a coach, often like to talk about intimacy, into me, see, right? Which is similar to what you just shared is about integrate, because that's what intimacy really is. Into me will you see. Right?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, exactly.
And we are in this incredible time of integration, of learning, expanding, integrating, learning, expanding, integrating. And so I just am really so deeply blown away by your artistry and who you are. It's been wonderful to get to know you much more fully tonight. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You too. You too. And Kristin, to meet you and you just bringing such a beautiful aspect to this whole wonderful community and show that's been going on 79 times already.
Truly amazing,
my
right?
hat is off to you. Oh, wow, that's incredible. Incredible.
So my understanding is we're going to close out by playing an audio recording that you sent me. And I think what I'll do is I can either put up your postcard, but I also kind of like this because it's a beautiful visual image and it's got your website. So what would you like me to have?
Well, the other postcard has the one that has the psyche on it that says where you can get Psyche on iTunes or streaming on any platform.
Okay, so
it was the second slide that I gave you, and so I was thinking that could be up so that people could look for Sonic Butterfly Psyche and know where to get it, and then they can hear the song that I sent you is the finale song of the show, which is really just a little tag in it, and it kind of brings us back to the theme, which is that beauty is only beauty when beauty is in love, and that all of this process is an act of love, and that's what it is to be human. Ultimately, is really to be in service to love.
Now we're going to see if I can successfully have one playing and another thing on audio. So let's this is going to be an experiment. We're going to try this because I don't normally do this. So let me know if the sound comes through.
Yeah.
And this again is Michael Jorgensen and Christabel along with Sonic Butterfly.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
My little guy had to come in here too. He was like,
oh,
"That's beautiful."
Good. And so apparently it works for cats too.
And dogs.
My
It's
dog's not in here with me, but She's usually, it's very cute that when I do events, she'll run up on stage and stand there and look at everybody like, hey, look, my mom's on stage.
Yeah, they're awesome. Well, it's time for us to go cuddle with our people or our dogs or our cats or whoever we are blessed to cuddle with. Andrea, thank you so much. Just
Thank
beautiful.
you guys. This really means a lot to me. I'm so appreciative. I'm so grateful to all the people who stayed and listened and are curious about this work. And thank you all very much. It means the world to me.
We still have 78 people in the Zoom room, and God knows how many watch it on Facebook. So it's pretty amazing.
I love all the comments. As we were playing that song, I was moving through the comments, and some of them are really funny. Like, for example, someone said, Scott, that when you come, I have to record you playing Sonic Butterfly.
Oh, that could be a whole new series. Have people visit and record them playing Sonic Butterfly.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Well,
absolutely brilliant. We need that. We definitely need that.
I definitely look forward to my next connection with you on Saturday Night Live and also on in person. Kristin Hoffmann.
Scott Catamas, I love you. What an incredible journey with you again. It's always just pure joy to work with you and collaborate and weave. And this night has been an uplifting experience. I'm so grateful.
It's been very powerful. And thank you everybody for watching, staying with us all the way to the end. I am going to play, just as a closing, a little thank you video. This is from Jay. And so it's kind of a sweet way to close out our evening, because it's all about gratitude. You know, ultimately at the end of the day, it's about being grateful. One of the things that I notice about Kristin and about so many of our presenters is that most of us are non-denominational. Our religion is gratitude, or if you will, the attitude of gratitude. So we're going to close with a video that is all about appreciation. Thank you so much, Kristin. Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Matthew and Sophia, all the way out there in North Carolina. I'm going to see you next week. I'm in North Carolina, so I'm going to see you next week. And everybody, hope to see you on my Sacred Sunday show tomorrow morning. Good night, everybody.
Love and gratitude, everyone.
Blessings.
Thank you for blessing everyone watching this with your best blessings for everyone.
Times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. Thank you for divine love, for miracles and good fortune.
Thank you for blessing everyone watching this with your best blessings for everyone.
Good night, everybody.